Okay, so I'm in Ukraine, so don't forget me. If you find it in your heart to donate to the ministry to help me while I'm here with my expenses, and also if you want to provide something for Ukrainians in particular, there are 2 links down below in the description. Get on down there and give what you've decided in your heart to give. Now on with the lesson. So today we're talking about 3 evils and 2 goods in the Bible. There are 3 different words for evil and 2 different words for good that I want to focus on here so you understand that those translations that you read muddy everything up. So you need to understand the difference between these words in order to understand the difference between what's being said in the text. Now you probably are thinking, well, hold on a minute, but if it says evil for every one of those, how am I going to know when it's one or the other? That's why you need to be reading the Rooted Word Bible. Now, we don't have it all done, but you can get online and see if the passage you're interested in is finished. If it is, then you can read it there. So let's get into these words. I'm warning you here that we're going to be getting into the Greek. Now, I know you don't know Greek. You don't have to know Greek. I'm going to actually teach you some of this so you understand the difference between these words. And we're going to look at a few passages. So you can see that in the passages, even in one passage, there are different words for evil in order to indicate the differences. So the first word we're going to talk about for evil is ponéros. Now, ponéros is harmful evil. So harmfully evil as the adjective. If you're going to say someone is evil, he's an evil person. If you mean that he's ponéros, you're going to say harmfully evil. He's harmfully evil. His evil is intended to do harm to people. Well, that's the core of evil because it says that the Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Harm, right? So ponéros is really the core of evil, the evil of evil. The second word is kakos. K-A-K-O-S, kakos. And this means uselessness. So when you're wasting your day because you're not doing something useful or beneficial to others and yourself and your family, then you are being evil in the kakos sense of evil. Okay? So evil in a useless way. Then there's sapros, okay? Kakos, ponéros. So the accent is over there, but it doesn't matter because we don't speak this ancient Greek when we're reading the Bible. So sapros is putrified, rotted inside. So it's a kind of evil that's in a decayed way. It's evil that comes out of the decay within. Like if you take a fruit and you try to eat it and it's putrid. Well, there may be worms in it, maybe parasites in it, maybe just it's rotten and smells terrible and it's collapsing as soon as you're trying to bite it, right? So it's related to both of those other words. Then we have, for good, we have kalos, which means beautiful, not good. But they use it figuratively. According to some translators, they claim that it's figuratively good. Well, inasmuch as beauty is good, and beauty is good. So, yeah, I wouldn't translate it good. I translate it beautiful or beautifully good. Then you've got agathos. Now, agathos is the word for good, but it's good in a useful way. So when someone is useful and they're good. So now let's look at some passages here. First one we're going to look at is Matthew 7, starting in verse 17. I'm going to read to you the New King James Version, and when we hit one of those words, good or evil, I'm going to indicate which word it is. Even so, every good tree that's agathos, bears good fruit, that's kalos. So you got good in the same phrase twice, but they are the different words for good. So every usefully good tree bears beautiful fruit, is what it's saying. Yeah. That's a bit different, isn't it? But a bad tree, that's sapros. That's rotted, putrified. But a bad tree, that's sapros, which means putrified, bears bad fruit. That's ponéros. That's harmfully evil fruit. So a putrified tree bears harmfully evil fruit. Verse 18. A good tree, agathos, usefully good, cannot bear bad fruit, ponéros, harmfully evil fruit. Nor can a bad tree, sapros, putrified tree, bear good fruit, kalos, beautiful. 19. Every tree that does not bear good fruit, that's beautiful fruit, is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them. Well, what fruits? Beautiful fruit and harmfully evil fruit. That's what's being contrasted as the fruits. Is it beautifully good fruit, or is it harmfully evil fruit? Those are the only two options. And if it's harmfully evil fruit, the tree is putrified. It's rotted inside. And if it's beautifully good fruit, then it is usefully good tree. Well, yes, of course, because it's bearing fruit is beautiful and good to eat. Tasty. So you see that when you understand the difference between those words, that passage takes on a much more specific meaning. Let's go on to Matthew 20:15. Is it not lawful for me to do what I wish with my own things? Or is your eye evil, ponéros, because I am good, ἀγαθός? Is your eye evil, harmfully evil, because I am usefully good? Are you trying to harm me with your eye? Are you looking at me how to harm me because I'm being useful? All right, let's go to Mark 7, verse 21. For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lewdness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile a man. Now you picked up on the fact that evil occurs a few times here. Let's do it and insert which evil we're talking about. For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts, useless thoughts, evil in a useless way. They're being useless. They're thoughts that are useless. Adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, which is pονηρό, harmful evil. Harmful evil comes from within. Deceit, lewdness, an evil eye, that's πονηρός also. A harmfully evil eye, an eye that looks to harm people. Blasphemy, pride, foolishness, all these evil things, harmfully evil things, come from within and defile a man. Notice that they're synonymous. The kakos and the ponéros here in this passage are synonymous, because it starts by saying that these thoughts are kakos thoughts, useless evil. Then at the end it says all these ponéros, these harmfully evil things, come from within and defile a man. So it starts with useless evil, where you are being useless. And out of that develop these actions that give forth harmful evil as well. Now I remember when I was a boy and we moved to Southern California, and we were renting a house with some land for our horse, so we could have our horses with us. We had 2 horses. And the landlord was introduced to me, and he said, I was about 14. He said, let me tell you something. He was a Christian. Let me tell you something, boy. He says, one thing I got to tell you for your life. He says, idle hands are the devil's workshop. And I really took that to heart. I thought that was fantastic. I'd never heard that before. Idle hands are the devil's workshop, an old proverb. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Well, that's talking about kakos being used to create ponéros, like in this passage right here in Mark 7. So if you give yourself over to kakos, the uselessness of just sitting around, of not doing something, or whittling away your time on games, that's a uselessness. Now, if you are in the industry of creating games, and it's your job, you may think, well, I'm not being useless. I'm actually doing my job. Okay, all right. You may be providing for your family by it too. But what you're doing is you're creating an entire industry of kakos for people, where they waste their time in something that is useless. So you got to rethink your industry and where you're working if you're doing that. So let's go on with this. John 18. We're going to look at verse 23 and then 29 and 30. We're going to compare those. Jesus answered him, if I have spoken evil, that's kakos, useless evil. If I've spoken something that's useless, bear witness of the uselessness. But if well, why do you strike me? So this word well is from kalos, beautiful. It's the adverb of it. So we could read it this way then. It says, but if beautifully, why do you strike me? If I have spoken useless evil, bear witness of the useless evil. But if beautifully, why do you strike me? Pilate then went out to them and said, what accusation do you bring against this man? They answered and said to him, if he were not an evildoer, a doer of useless evil, kakos, we would not have delivered him up to you. Now this is very interesting, because what it's saying is that the accusation against Jesus was that he was spreading useless evil, like a game producer. They were accusing Jesus not of harm, not harmful evil, not ponéros, but of distraction and chaos to divert attention away from their own ministry. That is what useless actions do that is evil. Useless evil. Okay? So not only does it waste your own time that you could be using for producing something useful for the society or to produce for your family, like earning money and providing for them, or being useful to other people in some way. It's very interesting when you think about these things. With the correct translation there, then you understand what it's actually saying. What is the thing that's at stake with what they're saying about evil and good? Let's look at another one. That's Ephesians 5:15 through 16. Paul says, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil." That word is harmfully evil. So this word redeem is incorrect, and you'll find it throughout the scriptures. Sometimes it's one word, sometimes it's another in Greek, and redeem isn't correct for either one of them. So our whole idea of redemption is not founded on what's there in the Greek. I know that's going to blow your mind, but we'll have another video on that where we go into great detail about it and we look at the Greek words, what they exactly mean. I'll just briefly touch on this word here. Okay? This word means to go out to the marketplace. That's right, that's what it means. To go out to the marketplace to buy. Like at the marketplace, you go, well, buy, that's like redeem, right? No, to redeem is like to buy back, to buy out of some sort of slavery or something like that. But that's not what it's saying when it uses that word. That there's no implication of slavery or anything like that. In this passage is going out to buy time. The main thing here is circumspectly, and not as fools, but as wise. This indicates that Paul has kakos in mind that ends up with ponéros. Again, like our previous passage. If you are being useless and idle, then the days will be harmful to you. That's what he's saying. See then that you walk circumspectly. What does that mean? Well, let's look what the Greek word means. So in the Greek, akrobos, which means exactly. You are to be careful how you walk so that your steps are in the right places. Not as fools, but as wise. Let's look at what those two words mean. So it means not as unwise, but as wise. It's not a different word. It's just got on the beginning, which means without. Not unwise, without wisdom, but with wisdom. You're to be careful walking step by step where you're supposed to be walking. Not as someone who is without wisdom, but someone who has wisdom. Going out to buy time. You're buying time by doing that. By using that time to walk correctly like that, precisely, out of wisdom, not out of lack of wisdom, you are going out and buying time. Because if not, that's the implied part, if not, if you're going to walk around as ones without wisdom, not buying up the time, the days will be harmful to you. So Paul's saying that sentence gets at the heart of the difference between evil and good, of the uselessness that leads to harm and the usefulness that leads to beautiful things. I hope that this will deepen your walk with Christ, help you to see clearly what it's about, and to live a life that honors God and that is useful, that is beautiful. May the Lord bless you as you seek Him with all your heart.